Welcome everyone. My name is Zach Deloach. I'm the Safety and Compliance Manager for Pac-Van. Today we'll be discussing Pac-Van's safety policy on compressed air. The purpose of this policy is to inform employees of the hazards that are associated with compressed air. We also want to ensure that employees are trained in the safe use of compressed air. This program applies to all operational positions, all employees who perform operational functions, and all employees who work with or near compressed air. The Safety Department is responsible for creating, maintaining, and updating this program. Branch and fleet managers are responsible for arranging training about this topic, maintaining records of training, and making sure that all employees have access to this policy. Employees are responsible for viewing this presentation, reading the Pac-Van Compressed Air Safety Program in its entirety, and following all policies and procedures and working safely. Compressed air is incredibly powerful. Pac-Van employees use compressed air in a variety of ways, from driving nails to removing lug nuts. However, compressed air can also be very dangerous if not used properly. The purpose of this presentation is to cover Pac-Van policies and procedures that will keep you and your coworkers safe while utilizing compressed air. When using compressed air, employees are required to wear all of the personal protective equipment shown here. This includes eyeglasses with side shields or goggles, gloves, closed-toed shoes, and some form of hearing protection. Before using compressed air, you must verify that all components in use meet the maximum pressure rating of the compressor they are attached to. For example, if I have a compressor that can reach 155 psi, all of the additional components, such as the hose, pipes, and fittings, should have a maximum pressure rating of at least 155 psi. Always use the lowest air pressure necessary to perform a job. If you're going to use a blowgun for cleaning purposes, the regulator must be set at or below 30 psi. Last but not least, hoses, nozzles, and tools should never be pointed at another person. Air intake for compressors should be clean air from the outside. If this isn't possible, the air should be cleaned through filters or screens. As discussed on the previous slide, the maximum pressure rating of all components must meet or exceed the maximum pressure that the compressor can produce. Air compressors should never be modified to operate at a speed greater than that which the manufacturer recommends. All moving parts, such as belts or fans, must be protected by guards, metal screens, or cages. If the compressor is gas operated, it should only be used outside. Take care that the exhaust from a gas compressor does not go towards windows, doors, or fresh air intakes of nearby buildings. Only standard fittings should be used on airlines. When fittings are placed onto airlines, they should be secured with crimp-style clamps that are rated for air pressure. Worm-driven hose clamps are not rated for air pressure and should never be used to hold a fitting into place. Before attempting to use an air hose, verify that the hose is rated for the appropriate level of air pressure. Also, verify that the fittings are securely connected to both the air compressor and the tool. Avoid bending and kinking the hose, as this can cause damage to the line. When choosing where to run your line from the compressor to your workspace, make sure you don't create a safety hazard. Hoses should not be run across walkways or elevated above the ground to create tripping hazards. Hoses should also not be run through windows or doorways or across rough surfaces that could cut or damage the hose. Inspect the air hose before each use for damage and condition. Keep hoses free of grease and oil to avoid deterioration over time. Always disconnect air hoses from the compressor when not in use. Spool and store hoses out of the elements and off of the ground. Pressure regulation devices allow you to control the amount of pressure that a compressor puts out. Before connecting a tool to an air compressor, adjust the regulator to the desired pressure level. Verify that this pressure level will not exceed the rated capacity of any components that are currently in use. Safety valves, as shown in this photo, are designed to open up and release air from the tank to prevent too much pressure from building up. These valves should always be directed away from people and equipment. In freezing temperatures, these valves can freeze shut and fail to function. Ensure that you test all safety valves prior to each use. Air tanks and receivers should be stored where the entire surface can be easily inspected prior to each use. All tanks and receivers should have a drain valve at the bottom to prevent accumulation of liquid inside of the tank. Self-draining units automatically expel fluid buildup with minimal pressure loss. If you have a self-draining unit, place the drain valve directly over a floor drain. If you have a manual drain valve or no floor drain is present, run a drain line to control the flow of fluid away from the compressor. As with all other components, tanks and receivers should never be pressurized beyond the maximum working pressure indicated by the manufacturer. Ongoing maintenance is essential to the safe use of compressed air in the workplace. All maintenance recommended by the manufacturer should be followed to the letter. Any maintenance performed must be done by a qualified and authorized person. When maintenance is being done on a compressor, we must take special care to control any forms of hazardous energy. The power cord should be locked and tagged out to prevent accidental energization. All pressure should be released for the duration of the maintenance. Employees should conduct a pre-use inspection of all components and safety devices each day. At the end of the day, a designated employee should ensure that manual drain compressors are drained of moisture, oil, or carbon buildup. All units should be stored depressurized when not in use. Each week, employees should inspect the air filters and condenser coils should be cleaned as necessary. Like all other components, air tools should be inspected prior to each use. Confirm that the compressor is regulated to the correct pressure as indicated in the user's guide for each tool. Also confirm that the hose and fittings in use are rated to the appropriate air pressure. Once you are done using the tool for the day, add a few drops of pneumatic tool oil to prevent corrosion from residual moisture. This training video is meant to be a brief overview of Pac-Van's compressed air safety program. It does not cover all the information in the program. After watching this video, ensure you read the program in its entirety before signing and submitting the training acknowledgement form to your manager. Please direct any questions concerning this safety training program to your supervisor or myself at the email or phone number listed here. Keep up the good work and stay safe.